side proposition's case is dependent on a false characterization of what glorifying heroes and glorifying soldiers really looks like. Their claims about more abuse, more justification of conscription, more interventions are dependent on claims like, now we'll view these individuals as infallible, now we'll view that being a soldier is actually a good thing and that it's beneficial. We think that they've created a wrong conception of what that glorification really looks like. That we say we don't get more glorification of war itself, but rather specific soldiers and their acts. That war will always be sad on either side of this house because lives are lost. The difference is that we choose to celebrate the lives that are lost and the risks that they took, and why that's incredibly important for protecting soldiers and preventing problematic war. I want to talk about two themes in this speech. Firstly, the effect on war, and second of all, the effect on soldiers. First, on the effect on war. So their claims about getting more interventions are fundamentally dependent on the characterization that now you have to glorify war as well when you believe that you get more soldiers. We think it's unlikely glorifying soldiers as heroes also translates to glorifying war itself. Because we told you from the beginning with our second speaker that intuitively when we look at celebrations like Remembrance Day, it is sad because war took lives, because it's awful that you lost your brother. That's why we think it is very unlikely you get that kind of rogue intervention on their side of the house. The reason why you characterize them as heroes is because they went through immense stress and pain, and that's why we're unlikely to get more of those interventions. We furthermore showed you that there are other cost to interventions, that their side concedes it's usually unpopular to go into wars, and that the types of wars that we get, if we get more sympathy, are kinds of good humanitarian wars. But we said that even if it's true that states are able to override popular will and get those interventions, that would probably happen on either side of the house. So even on their best grounds about getting worse interventions, we think we get those interventions better. So if they get those rogue interventions, we have things like infrastructure, like the Geneva Convention, which they never chose to engage with on their side of the house. That the reason why we codify soldier conduct is because we believe we hold them to a higher standard of being heroes. They need to talk about why you actually prevent atrocities on their side of the house when you view soldiers to be pawns and games to be used to win wars. So at the end of this theme, we've proven to you why it is very unlikely you get those kinds of increases in intervention, because there are many other reasons for why war is awful, but that even if you get that increase in interventions, why it's better on our side of the house and why they're fought better. But the second theme is then about the effect on individual soldiers and their lives. We think the big claim from proposition was they tried to flip the conscription idea and say states are better able to justify conscriptions when you believe that it is okay, that soldiers are heroes and that must be done. But they conveniently ignored the analysis from the beginning of our case, which is that heroism is dependent on choice. It is about choosing to serve and sacrifice, and that you aren't going to be a hero if you're forced into it. So structurally, it is impossible to get that kind of conscription when you glorify soldiers as being heroes because they opted into that. But furthermore, their own arguments conceded that you get more soldiers at the point when more people want to join the military. So if that is the case, the more they push the benefits of getting more people in, the more they push the harms of getting more people into the military, the less of a need we actually have for conscription on our side of the house. But their side necessarily creates the necessity to conscript at the point when nobody wants to go into war. They gave you all the reasons for why this is the case already, that war is awful, that you die. So we think you get more conscription on our side of the house when less people go into war, which constrains even more choice of everyone and gets more atrocities at the point when you have further need to demonize the other side to get people to rile up. Our benefits were expansive. We told you about why you get less of that restriction of choice, why you get more support after the war, and why their side of the house necessarily can't get respect for these individuals at the point when people view them as bodies to win a game, why they view them as expendable on their side of the house. In order to get all of their harms, they needed to prove why that's unlikely. At the end of this debate, I think side opposition was able to prove to you on a more realistic characterization of what that glorification really looks like. War is awful. Our side of the house makes it better for soldiers at the point when they're actually celebrated for the sacrifices they made. We're very proud to oppose.